The year is 2282, and humanity has spread across the stars and joined the alliance of allied species. This galactic alliance is composed of over a dozen species who pool resources and technology to expand across the galaxy and defend themselves against the threat of galactic war with the hostile Aknarin, who are more commonly called the Arachnids, who have destroyed worlds and decimated populations as they advance into Alliance territory. Many member species of the Alliance have long-standing rivalries, conflicting agendas, and few have even gone to war in recent times. However, each species brings something unique to the coalition, and they all need to overcome their biases and speciesism if they are to cooperate and achieve their goals of survival in these times. In the midst of all this, of course, the true powers are the mega corporations, running the show from behind the scenes and cashing in every chance they can get. If you're not living in a colony, town, or some backwater world on the frontier, you're probably working for a mega corporation on a long-term contract. They own and run nearly everything, including you. Finally, in this world, are of course the greatest forces the galactic armed forces have. One-person armies with the jurisdiction to do as they wish. Battlelords. Truly, the greatest fighters for the galactic armed forces, and of course, very powerful individuals with their own motives and own desires in this world, in this universe. Today, we focus on a small shuttle ship, a transport vessel, nothing fancy, making its way to a space station, a resort station. Inside this ship are two individuals. They are not Battlelords. They are very far from it, in fact. Simple, normal mercenaries, working under the mega corporation SSDC, Space Systems Development Corporation, largely a corporation that specializes in deep space exploration and interactions with HALs, hazardous life forms. Sometimes they even do pest control. And today, that's kind of the operation that these two individuals have been given. As we zoom in to this little shuttle vessel, who do we see seated in the cramped, tight quarters that said vessel has given you?
You see Takasis, or Tak, as I am called. I'm a Scissorak, or a cat, as the humans refer to us. We apparently resemble predatory felines on Earth. While our fur and face make us resemble them, our body shapes are probably more similar to the hyenas that they have there. The eyes that I have around, and my face is surrounded by a mane which stretches from the chin to both ears. And yes, I am a mercenary with the SSDC, and I carry with me a K4 proton cannon disintegrator, which I will not hesitate to use if need be. I am also called to be the leader of this little outfit of misfits, and as I understand it, it is time to prove myself again on yet another bug hunt. And next to me is...
Next to you is Gaff, or Chief, as he likes to be called. Nearly 3.5 meters tall, weighing in at around 700 kilos with a 1 meter long tail. A line of sharp spines jut out of the spinal column, and there are holes in my leathery armor to accommodate them. The scales are dark brown, like a muddy landslide. Because I've been on a damn fine vacation recently, and as usual, my scales adopted the colors of my surroundings after the first few weeks. My face is a short snout with straight-facing eyes and a human-like nose. The right eye is covered with the typical Pythonian nictitating membranes. making my eyesight quite poor. Whereas the right one looks like a home-built, cheap cybernetic implant, which occasionally stirs in its socket. Combine this with a broad mouth of razor-sharp teeth, and you find yourself with a sight that individuals of most other species would consider rather repulsive. As is typical for me and my cold-blooded kin, we don't smell much of anything, but there I sit, in this huge shape, with my Valley Green Ox Omega weapon, a huge cannon that fires force fields to smash armored targets off their feet, and a shoulder-mounted missile rack, a huge stick of immense size, very compact wood, a so-called thwackum stick, which ram pythons, which is my race, use in their rituals, which are heavily based on strength. And this incredibly large and dense wood equivalent pole we use as a weapon. So that, I suppose, sticks out from the side of some kind of holster going along my spine.
It is truly a magnificent weapon, and anyone else trying to use such a thing would be at a significant disadvantage. You're not the only people on this vessel, although you are the only passengers. There is also a pilot, who is a Razit. The Razit are an insectoid species. This creature has 4 limbs. 2 limbs that seem to be arms, and another 2 that seem to be legs. But they also have wings, insectoid wings on their back. Their face has insectoid eyes, and the mouth is composed of a number of tentacles that function not only as its actual mouth, but also as sensory organs, allowing them to smell and see things a little better than their eyes can, depending on the Razit. This one is currently piloting your vessel, tapping away at the control console and listening to some sort of screeching insectoid music. You think? It's kind of hard to tell. Very thumpy. It's paying you no mind, as it's driving you to your destination.
Well, at least we brought enough weapons.
Huh. What we know about this adventure anyway?
I think it's some kind of bug hunt again, isn't it? Pests? What was it? I bring up the order sheet that we've received. Alright, let's have a look. Orientation. Space station, redacted. Redacted, owned by the Redacted Corporation. As requested, armed assistance from the SSDC. The nature of the threat is likely to be relatively harmless, but any kind of bug or rodent would disturb their exclusive passengers in this luxury station. Your team will assess the risk and aid station security as directed.
Situation. A maintenance crew on the station has disappeared in the maintenance tunnels. Organic growling has been detected in the tunnels by drones before the drones lost contact. The last instance like this was the result of one of the guests' pet Narfet getting loose in the tunnels.
Neutralize any threats to the passengers in station, gladly. Avoid damage to the station. Right. And I wanted to use my cannon. Protect the VIPs, sure.
Administration. As a Merc unit, you are responsible for the procurement and maintenance of your own equipment. And I pat my Omega cannon. Our standard space cargo transport will be dropping supplies, and you are on the station with a piloted shuttle. And I look over at the Razit piloting the shuttle, and it makes my eyes stir because it was a cheap Razit cybernetics job that I probably shouldn't have gotten, but sometimes it works. The shuttle will serve as your quarters for the 3 days you will be on the station. The shuttle has a pilot and built-in paramedic kit. Treatment will be provided during the mission at half the normal cost.
Command and signal. Once the mission is complete, signal SSDC for pickup on the next cargo ship pass through in 3 days. Well, pretty straightforward orders. Let's hope it's just that Narfed, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna get into the maintenance tunnels and probably disintegrate something. And probably not the station. I wonder if they have some high-tech gear there. I'm gonna enjoy walking through those maintenance tunnels. Just don't want to stay for 3 days doing this shit for some VIPs, luxury guests.
Let's finish this quickly. Maybe we can even get a suite or something like that. Watch some Trivi, chill out, have some drinks. Make it a weekend, huh?
Yeah. I wonder if they got a good mud bath.
You hear the Razit sort of chuckle to itself as it turns to say, "Mud bath? They will have no mud bath for people like you, people like us."
Nah, let's do this and get out of here.
Exactly. Get in, I deliver you quick, then you get back on, we go quick, get paid, yes?
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the creature turns up the music even louder, filling the vessel with this insectoid, chittering, booming music.
I lean back against the wall and fold my arms, look up into the ceiling.
And I just look at my Pythonian friend and I suppress the hatred that I have for his entire species, and I put it back in that little place where I usually hide it. We will never forget what they did to us, but he is useful, so we will work together, like we have before.
Yes, sadly, there will always be bad blood between your two species. After all, the Pythonians, one of the first races ever encountered by the Scissorak. Unfortunately, a diplomatic incident would cause a war that lasted more than 100 years for your two races. The Scissorak would say that their ambassador was dishonored and challenged the Ram Python chieftain to single combat. The Pythonians would say that the chieftain in question merely wanted to give the Scissorak a nice hug in greeting. Suffice to say, the Scissorak ambassador was killed by this affection. And thus the war began. The war only ended when the other members of the Galactic Alliance discovered these two species. The Galactic Alliance said, "If you cease your hostilities, we will allow you to join our Grand Alliance. If not, you'll be left alone to face the incoming threats to our galaxy." Both races agreed to cease fire, as both races wanted to share the technology and resources the Galactic Alliance had to offer. However, the peace has not been that long, and Scissorak especially, all are still rather tetchy about the Ram Pythons especially. And the ship slowly begins approaching the space station. The space station which your Razit pilot apparently calls the Crystal Palace. A very fancy space station, although if either of you have any experience in space stations, you'd be able to see it's slightly an old-looking model. A ring model. Doesn't really look like the fanciest VIP space station, but it's probably been retrofitted, you think, to make it fancier than it should be. You will begin approaching the docking bay, with the Razit pilot finally finishing his musical tirade by singing along with whatever the music is very loudly, and putting a hand on his chest as if something about the song is very patriotic, before finally turning it off and landing the vessel. Right, okay, I have landed ship. You two, get the fuck off. Get the mission done. Get back quick.
And I pick up any supplies that we have. take let the boss, the officer in command, my beautiful Scissorak friend, take the lead, of course.
You do see just before you go, Chief, that the Razit looks at your eye for a moment as he's leaving and leans over and says, "You know, I get things that are good for you. Good price."
Oh, I paid for that once.
"Yes, I can see. Terrible job. Idiot man did it. Idiot Razit. I clever Razit. I fix for you. Good price. Only charge you many credits. I mean, few credits. Few credits."
Few credits?
"Yes."
Yeah, I might consider that. Huh. Yeah. Deal.
"Deal. Good. I give you price when you get back. Take it out of your paycheck."
I nod to myself, very satisfied that I made a good, solid agreement with this Razit.
Indeed. You're not entirely sure if they'll actually be able to assist you, but Razits are all technically orientated, although the Razit who gave you that eye was also quite confident that the eye was a very good make and he was a very clever Razit.
Well, I'm in a hurry. I don't have time to think too much about these things.
Tak, what are you doing?
Well, I disembark from the shuttle, make sure that we have our gear with us. I look around as we get out of the shuttle. What do I see?
You are being met in this hangar bay by a retinue of 3 individuals. One is a older man, a human man, with brown hair and a moustache. Looks rather prim and proper, with a lovely uniform. Don't quite recognize the corporation, but you assume this whole station must be owned by one of the many mega corporations, probably one associated with luxury. There is also a very large, burly Orion next to him. The Orions are an interesting species. They, on first glance, look almost exactly like humans. But on closer inspection, you would see that not only are their ears a strange pointed shape, but they also don't have quite the same amount of fingers and toes. Otherwise, they look quite similar. This one is very fashionably dressed, its uniform very prim and proper. Orions, after all, love fashion and love cultural assimilation. They especially have enjoyed human fashions, which it turns out suit their beings very well compared to, for example, the fashions of your species, which are a little bit more rustic. Finally, there's a very young-looking human, about 18, 17. You think that's a teenager in the human species? Not quite sure. Something similar to a cub. He looks a bit nervous as he's looking at you. These are the 3 individuals waiting for you to leave the vessel. You would also notice in the same hangar bay, there's another ship just about coming into dock. Looks like a cargo vessel of some kind.
Oh, well, we need to go and meet with these people that are coming out to see us.
Yeah, I'm keeping pace behind the officer, taking in mostly the vibrations of the ship and the people that I feel moving around me, since that is one sense that we do have, being from a planet of immense creatures like ourselves. We haven't developed a very keen eyesight, but we do feel vibrations pretty well up to 50 meters away and can identify beings around us that way.
Certainly. And of course, with your infravision, you can make out life forms in front of you, hot. The heat of the space station all around you, although slightly different from the life forms. And your tremor sense, again, indicates that you're in a hangar. There's a ship docking nearby. There are people in front of you. Again, it's not like your species are blind. They can see in front of them just fine. It's more the finer details, especially when things get further away. Probably due to those membranes over your eyes. Although, again, your cybernetic eye does blink suddenly a little to life, and you get a more pedestrian, clearer view of the situation as well. And so you walk down the hangar towards these individuals. The man steps forward, the man in the commander's uniform, you assume. Good evening, hello. You are SSDC, yes?
Yes.
Very good. Captain Smith, welcome to my ship, or my station if you will, the Crystal Palace. This is First Officer Clemens, and newly appointed communications officer, Redgar? It's Roger, sir. Roger? Ah, yeah, Roger. Right. Yes. Wonderful. If you'd hand First Mate Clemens your weaponry, we would like that to be stashed in this container here. First Mate Clemens comes forward with a container on wheels. Plenty of room for your weapons to be placed in and then moved somewhere else, you assume.
We will have these back for the mission, I assume.
Yes, of course, but we're not going to have you walking through the station as you are fully armed. You could imagine it would alarm many of our guests. We're going to do our best to make sure they don't see you at all, but the weapons for now, in there, please.
I nod to Chief, and I start putting my unhooking my cannon from my back, and I put it inside of inside of this container, and then I get down on all fours again, and I feel how nice it is to not have to carry around that heavy thing.
Indeed, you do see the younger human looking at you quite with interest at your form that is essentially much more comfortable on all fours.
I give a not too dissatisfied grunt. I like the prospect of us being able to go around and have a look at the station proper. And I put down my weapon, feeling confident that no one here would be able to lift it up out of that box. And put down both my Omega weapon, Are they expecting me to leave my thwacking stick as well?
This burly-looking Orion is looking at you and expecting it to be placed away.
Huh. Well, I put that down there, and it's not like I can... Well, I suppose I could disconnect the missile rack from my armor, if that's what he wants.
They seem to leave that alone, possibly assuming that you are unlikely to fire that without provocation.
I eject the one missile that is in the rack at present, and I put that in there as well.
This Orion looks at you, nods. Big stick.
Thank you.
He closes the tarp. He says no more to you and begins moving it along. It seems to be a grav cart. It starts to hover a little, so he doesn't truly have to push it with his probable minimal strength. Although he is actually quite a big Orion. A lot of Orions aren't that large, but this one seems like he's put some work in. Nothing, of course, compared to you, Chief, towering over every single person here. Except maybe Tak, who, at her full height, you're only a little taller than.
I feel, as I see him wheel it away, I feel I'd be happy to give him a lesson in Pythonian provings of strength and the rituals associated with the thwackum stick, but I don't think he has the intelligence to grasp the entire meaning of it. Most people aren't as intelligent as I am.
The captain clicks his fingers and expects you to follow him to a large lift, which you assume is the main lift of the station. It probably has access to several of the main floors. Again, it's a ring station, so you seem to be in the central part, and then the rest of the station extends in a lovely ring, which you noticed as you came in had a lot of glass. You imagine so that people can have a lovely view of space while they are in those parts of the station.
Huh. Captain is so puny. Half my size, and then that swaggering Scissorak is going in front of me, doing his trotting thing.
Tak, any thoughts?
No, not really. It is worrying to not have our weapons available to us, but then again, this is just a bug hunt, so, well, it will be fine. Let's get this briefing over with so we can finish this mission.
Indeed, you begin to follow the captain to the lifts, and just as you get in, you see this cargo vessel seems to have docked, and some people seem to be getting off crates. Must be food or something like that. The doors close, and the lift begins to ascend. Right, well, simple mission, really. You've been called in to deal with a pest problem. I trust you have been briefed.
Yes, the company has given us a rundown of the situation, so that is all you have, or do you have more information to share?
We have some more information for you. Largely, first of all, please note this is a luxury vacation spot. Our passengers are extremely important people who represent several extremely important mega corporations, so ideally, we're going to today try and get you to the maintenance tunnels as quickly as we can, give you your weapons there, and you can deal with the problem and then be on your way. We don't really want individuals like yourselves being seen by the guests. You understand, they would ask questions, they would panic, they would be alarmed.
Yes, I'm sure they would have issues handling myself and Chief, I say, and I kind of raise my eyebrow to Chief.
I avoid interactions with VIPs except to preserve their lives.
Exactly, and hopefully that won't be too necessary. You see the younger man looking a little, just like fidgeting with his hands. The lifts open on a command deck floor. You enter a standard-looking command bridge. There's a bunch of technicians working on panels. There's some security, although, again, they seem a lot like that first mate. Armed, but not heavily armored, and mainly there you feel to stop out-of-control VIPs drinking too much, as opposed to actually being able to mount a true defense. A quick glance at a computer console to your left shows a variety of viewing screens, clearly monitoring various areas on the station. Most of them seem to be focused on the luxury facilities. You see visuals of gravball courts, fine restaurants, swimming pools, and even a few garden areas. Clearly no expense has been spared when it comes to the luxury facilities, although, judging by a flickering screen or two, the actual maintenance of the station is a secondary consideration. You also see a variety of individuals in these areas. It seems the majority of people on board are either human or Orion, although you do see a few other members of the Galactic Alliance represented here, one or two Zen, humanoid, slightly creepy-looking individuals, although their nature is far from creepy. You even think you see a Mazian, which humanity has kindly dubbed blobs. They do, after all, resemble living piles of slime, but they are able to manipulate themselves to actually appear as any other species they encounter. So, a bit more information than you were given in the briefing that we have discovered while we've been waiting for you. You see, we believe the issue, fortunately, is not, as you may have been told, a rampant fleet. Is that what it was? Rogar? Roger, sir. Yes. Rupert. Rupert, continue. Yes, well, there was a small interstellar debris storm we passed through a short while ago. It happens every 1,000 years, and normally we're totally fine, because it's 1,000 years. But on this occasion, it turns out that it had been 999 years since the last one, and, well, it kind of got hit by it. Indeed. Nothing to be concerned about, of course. Our shielding protected us from the worst of it, but we did get some damage on the lower levels, and we believe the issue may have been caused by that. You see, 3 weeks ago this happened. And in those 3 weeks, we recorded this. Play the sounds! Roger. Roger goes to the console and begins playing something that sounds an awful lot like that insect music that was playing on the ship.
Sound like... I cannot hold my tongue. Sound like Rosette music.
You see the captain looking very annoyed. You see Roger going, "Oh, sorry, that's the Rosette National Anthem." He presses another button, then a few more buttons. Finally, you see the captain go over and just go, "Roger, let me do it, goddammit, man." And he presses something that this time gives you a very strange metallic bending sound. It sounds a little bit like something being like structural tension, you know, the groaning of old buildings, and then a sort of...
Well, that doesn't sound like a Norfeet to me.
No. We thought this was metal fatigue and sent down a team to investigate and repair. And well, this is the audio we got from their last communication. You see, unfortunately, the maintenance tunnels on board the Crystal Palace are extremely old. We have no visual data down there. Literally, there's some sensor information, but otherwise, teams that go to perform maintenance literally do it by hand and literally need to have radio communication. I know. Disgraceful in this era, but the repairs, the upgrades have been long time coming. Anyway, here's what we heard. This time, Roger plays the correct sounding thing. You hear the sounds of
Didn't sound like no metal groaning to me.
No, neither is it an our feat to this time either.
Sound like your maintenance crew have become munches for something.
You see the captain kind of wrinkle his nose a little. You put it rather crudely, but it does indeed seem rather unpleasant. We sent a drone down earlier today, and well, this was the visual we received. And you receive on the screen the visuals of a maintenance tunnel, covered in viscera, gore, bodies, parted in several places, heads splattered against walls, entrails, everywhere. Could everyone please make me a Constitution vital statistic check? In Battlelords, you roll a d100, and you hope to get under the relevant value. So roll your d100s and get underneath your Constitution stats, please.
48 under 96.
94 under 115? How do I roll under 115?
Well, if there were modifiers, for example, on the roll, making it really difficult, then there's still a chance. But otherwise, you are very good. Suffice to say, this scene is horrific. However, you two are hardened mercenaries. You've seen this sort of thing before. It barely causes your stomachs to move even a little.
Wow, they really did a number on that maintenance crew, huh?
My cybernetic eye flicks out of function again, but I did have a chance to see the scene. Yeah, well, whatever the hell caused that kind of mess?
Whatever it is, I'm sure we're not being paid enough for it anymore. Well, it seems like it's going to be a little bit more than just a simple bug hunt, huh? I guess it would be good for us to get our weapons now, and then we can head into these, well, maintenance areas and take care of your little problem.
First Mate Clemens will give you your weaponry at the tunnels, yes. We want this to be done quickly, quietly. I'm sure it's nothing to be too concerned about for individuals like yourselves. That's why we hired you in. We're trying not to, well, you see then Roger sort of go, well, you see the mega corporation really won't want to pay for proper... Shut up, Roger. We're attempting to deal with this quickly and quietly, which SSDC are known for being good at. So, hopefully you will get the job done, yes? Go in the tunnels, deal with it, and hopefully we can all move on with our lives.
Sound good to me.
I nod.
First Mate Clemens? He clicks his fingers and the burly Orion comes back. Guide them to the nearest maintenance tunnel entrance, preferably near the area. On communication, you'll have Communications Officer Roger. If you're wondering, yes, he's been recently promoted because his superior was one of the ones who went into the tunnel. Roger will give you the best guidance he can to get you to the site where this happened, and then you can investigate from there.
Oh, excellent.
And you are led back into the elevator by First Mate Clemens. The elevator begins to descend. Is there anything you say or do during this time? Clemens is just standing with your weapons in the grav cart, not really saying anything, just looking mildly annoyed at your very presence.
Well, this debris that hit the station, did it cause any leaks? Do we have space venting anywhere in there? Do we need to go in with full suits or what? Are we okay?
What is the structural integrity of the station?
Yes, exactly.
Structural integrity is fine. There may be one or two breaches in said tunnels, however, nothing to be too concerned about. I would expect you to use the armored suit you're wearing, just to be on the safe side. That's what I would do.
Best be prepared for a vacuum then.
Your name Clemens?
My name is Clemens, yes.
You got a light, Clement?
No.
You got some fire? Some making fire?
You see him kind of look at you with a sort of stare. Looking up, in fact. Looking quite irritated at your questioning, talking, doing anything really. He sighs a little and says, "Why do you need a light?"
If we're heading into combat, it'd be appropriate to celebrate Changa.
What?
I said that if we're heading into combat, it would be appropriate to celebrate Changa.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care, but here. And he does actually pull out from his uniform a very strange-looking lighter. How odd. It's small. Looks like you operate it by attaching a little bit of metal on the top, and you press it, and it makes a little bit of fire. How archaic, you think to yourself.
So is he lighting it down there where he's standing?
He just gives it to you.
I take it. And do you know what Changa is? Would you, Tak?
I believe I would know quite a lot about the Pythonians. We were at war for 100 years, so we studied your species. And I'm sure that in entertainment that is on the Trivi on my homeworld, I'm sure that they have some not so flattering stereotypes of Pythonians doing the Changa. So I have some idea of what it is, yes.
Changa is primarily celebrated by the Rams, the land species of the Pythonians. It pays tribute to the volcano god, Hug, who is believed to be the source of every warrior's power and spirit. And to do battle without paying tribute to Hug is the deepest insult. Hug has been known to throw boulders and fire from his volcanic home to kill disrespectful Pythonians. Even out here, his reach is far. So to properly Changa, a ram must flatulate near an open flame. If there is fire, Hug is pleased. If not, the ram must redouble their efforts. Knowing this, rams often eat foods they know will provide them with plenty of gas before a fight. Unfortunately, the sulfur content in a python's gas is enough to make most other species ill. So the question is, do you let me perform Changa here in this little elevator?
Maybe do it when we get to a more open space, huh, Chief?
I click open the lighter and I play with it.
You're about to do it, aren't you?
I can do it in the tunnels, if it please the first mate.
I don't care what you do.
No, you would care about this. Trust me.
Well, I'm not going to be with you, so actually, fair enough. Do it when I'm no longer present. Whatever it is. And the doors open, and he gestures for you to follow him with the grav cart.
And I follow.
I smile and I follow as well, still playing with the lighter but feeling eager to get my weapons back.
He guides you along a corridor. From far off, you're pretty sure you can hear some sort of music. This time, a far more genteel mixture of Orion and human violin music. Not really the style of yourself, especially you, Tak. Your species prefer natural sounds, especially when on hunting. Very pleasing to hear the sounds of prey in their natural habitats as you relax at night, isn't it?
It is. The hunt, it is transcendental. It is the only time I truly feel like I am supposed to be. I'm not really supposed to be doing things like this. I'm supposed to be running down the prairie or the open fields and biting into prey together with my pride. I cannot wait to get back to the homeworld and do that. It's not the same.
And you are led to what looks like a maintenance shaft. There is an individual with a power tool undoing a bunch of tight bolts that seem to have been placed over said ventilation shaft. Clemens says, "We sealed off most of the access to the maintenance shafts, only opening this one now for you. There's still a few open somewhere, though. I'm pretty sure some people didn't do their jobs," he says, quite angry, looking at this technician. "Anyway, get your weapons ready, in you go, good luck and all that."
I get the weapons and begin getting ready.
Was it flame? Was it flame?
Yes, it was flame.
First Mate Clemens looks at you, Chief, as you emit a very large amount of flatulence from your lower regions onto his lighter, and there is indeed a bit of a flicker from the flame as you do so.
And only having one tract of excretions, I wipe the lighter off and I hand it back to him as the strong sulfuric smell is filling the tunnels around us. "Hurg it, please." And I kneel down to get my Omega weapon and my thwackum stick and mount back the missile in its place in the missile rack.
First Mate Clemens gives you the very most unpleasant stare you've seen in a while. Simply says, "Fucking mercenaries," and walks off, leaving you in the tunnels.
"Your ladder? You don't want your light?"
He doesn't even respond. He just walks off.
"You want this?" I look down at Tack.
Sure, but maybe you keep it. We can do the chunga later on as well.
"No need. Hurg has been pleased," I say, and I pocket the lighter in my armored vest.
It's at this point on your comm system that you have built into your armored suits, you hear the sound of Roger. Hello? Hi? Yes, can you hear me? Are you coming through? Yes?
Loud and clear.
Oh, very good. All right. Head north. No, sorry. South. South.
Are you sure?
Definitely. I think. Maybe.
If you are not sure, then please check.
There's a pause on the intercom. North. Yes, north, sorry.
North it is. I nod to Chief.
Yep, and I unhook a helmet from a pack on my back and put it on my head, and I pull down the visor to get an interface up. The sensor, I can now see what direction is north.
Indeed, your sensors spring to life, giving you standard output. The sensors in your suits are not the most advanced by a long shot, but they at least give you the most basic information. No signs of enemies, nothing strange going on. In your case, your vision is blurred a little, Chief seeing so many things at once, but you get used to it. In your case, Tack, the information is useful, but supplementary. Your eyes can see just fine, but it is sometimes useful to know things like EM readings and radiation readings and all that.
I double check my proton cannon, make sure that it's reporting in as working as it should.
And you begin moving north in the tunnels. Roger comes through on the intercom once more. Hello, right, yes, sorry for being a bit vague, but obviously the issue is that we don't really have visual on you. We have the mapping, we know where most of the maintenance tunnels should go, but it's all a little bit tricky, and yeah, I'm not really used to this. Like the captain said, but my superior died, so I kind of got promoted. I'm not really trained for head of communication, but my mum will be proud, I guess. It's a promotion, kind of. Anyway, so do your best to follow my instructions. You don't accidentally walk into a vent or anything, and I'll try and lead you to the area in question. Let me just go over these notes again. He seems to ramble on quite incoherently for some time, but eventually he does start giving you direction, and if you turn down your volume on your intercom just a little, it is easy to drown out the poor boys whining. 20 minutes or so pass. You are led left, then right, north again. Roger does seem to have great difficulty at actually accurately guiding you, and twice directs you straight into a wall, but eventually you do seem to be making some progress. And you come to a room. Apparently you are near the site of the incident, but you can see immediately that this area has been cleaned, Roger says. Right, well, you're here where things occurred, but obviously we've cleared all the bodies away, so, it's probably not much there. But if you start investigating from that part, you're all good to go.
I look at I try to get life back into my cybernetic eye to have a look at the wall and the general structural integrity of this place.
Roll me a D100.
I got 0 on the tens dice and 5 on the single digit dice, so 5.
In that case, luckily, your eye seems to be working well, and you are able to assess the scene normally. You don't really see anything immediately of interest. Obviously, there are indications that bodies were here and have been cleaned. You can still see a little bit of residue, a little bit of blood, but the area has mostly been cleaned up. That's a standard look. If anyone wants to employ a skill here to learn a little something more, please tell me the skill you're trying to use.
Look clean to me. Too bad they took away the food.
The food?
Yeah, I mean, if they left some... you don't understand, you goddamn Scissorak.
Oh, I understand perfectly the joy of biting into fresh prey, but these were carcasses. Surely, even a Pythonian would,
Meat is meat.
Well, it is that. Let's continue on.
Yeah. Oh, you say you want to take this sneaky approach, soft pause, or you want to go just walking on?
Well, considering that we are no longer dealing with just a Narfeet, I think we had better try to not make too much noise. We want to surprise, not be surprised.
Sure thing.
So you begin to move forward, trying to be stealthy, which, to be honest, one of you is very skilled at, and the other, in these corridors, I would not feel you need to roll at this point. You continue for a few more minutes, and suddenly find yourself in a storage room. This is not interesting. What is interesting is you find a fresh corpse. An individual, with their head missing, is lying against a wall, and anyone who looks up immediately will notice there's a gaping hole just above you, leading into a darkened room, a very big room.
I look up into this hole, then. What do I see?
Looking up into the hole, you have very good vision. You'd be able to make out what you think is... is that a grav ball court? Yes, definitely. Oh, very nice.
So, there's a hole into the facility itself from these maintenance tunnels.
Correct.
Well.
And a corpse. Very fresh.
This is, I click the radio.
Yes?
So, there's a hole here that leads into the facility and a dead maintenance worker. I move up to look at this corpse. Do I see anything? Do I see, like, a name, or is he, what kind of uniform is he wearing? Like, do we see who it is?
Well, you can't tell who it is, because they no longer have a head, but the body does seem to be human, and there is indeed a little badge. However, the badge is not a maintenance worker's badge, and as you actually look at the body closely, you notice it's wearing very nice clothing, soft linens, yellow. The guest badge says Alfred Manford.
It's a guest, by the name of Alfred Manford.
Wait, what? A guest? A guest? You hear Roger panicking immensely.
You had better lock down the most of the station. Whatever it is, it's inside.
What? Okay. And the comm just goes dead as Roger leaves you. What do you do?
What do you see up there?
It's Gravball Court. It's
Grab ball.
yeah.
This one
I
was
like
playing then, I guess.
Does he look like he was wearing sports clothes?
Underneath the nice clothing, yes.
Yeah.
We going up there?
Well, we could, but it would probably just lead into the main facility. I also don't know if we can get through there so easily, right?
It would be tricky for you to climb up to the ceiling, and get through this hole. I mean, you could just about do it. It's quite a large hole, but it would be a bit tricky, you feel.
I could lift you up.
I mean, you're welcome to make me an visual observation check, please.
You want me to lift you up and have a look so you can have a look?
Yeah, please.
I bend down to, just lift you up.
Alright, you will lift me up then, and I roll a 78.
Which is in your natural visual ability. You are lifted up slightly by the ram python, which does actually help you get up. You are very, very heavy, but Chief in this case is very, very strong and is able to lift your bulk, not without a little bit of difficulty. You are very heavy, but he's able to do it. You kind of clamber up on him a little, as much as your cat-like body allows. You look up. You see a gravel court. You see what looks like a blood trail leading to this hole. It looks like the individual was grabbed by something, dragged through the hole, dragged down here, and then, well, you now see him in his current state.
Well, they pulled him down. There is a risk that they've gone up, but they could also still be down here.
Maybe it likes sticking to tunnels and hunt from there.
Oh, it does seem to be profitable. This was a good catch.
Yeah, it was a good catch. I'd have myself a bite out of that shin right there if I were hungry.
I would suggest we... Yeah, no.
Wouldn't look good, would it? Where we going then, Tack?
Let's continue. Let's see what we can find in these maintenance tunnels.
And so you continue down the tunnel leading onwards, noting as you do, Tack, again due to your excellent vision test, that speckles of blood do seem to run down the corridor you're now going down. Maybe what you're looking for is up ahead.
I feel something, yeah. Considering what you just seen, even if I do not see this, I hook my Omega cannon on my back and I go down on all fours to be slithery quiet. It's a thing with the Pythonians. They can be very, very quiet considering their size, especially the rams.
And so you continue down the maintenance tunnels. The lighting here is low, but there is enough so that you can at least see a little in front of you. A dull, bluish light. You try to keep at the back of your minds the knowledge that because there are no visual sensors down here, if something does sneak up on you, you're not going to get any advanced warning from those up above. Hell, anything could happen in these tunnels, and no one on the bridge would be any the wiser.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the adventure Last Resort on the Space Resort for Battlelords of the 23rd Century. This is a sponsored adventure by our friends at 23rd Century Productions, LLC. Their one-shot supplement, Charlie Foxtrot, is on Kickstarter right now, and you can find a link in the show notes. The music was created by Alpha Zone and Sabled Sun, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Visit cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more futuristic drone. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, and Julia for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you for listening, and see you soon again.